A wizard comes into the market square in the village because it is believed that the footprint of every dweller of that village converges in the market square. So he goes there in the night when everybody has gone back. Then he looks for every point where there is a footprint on the sand. He will pick half of it. Pick half of it. He will do that for 2 hours. Put it in his bag. If you see him, you say he's mad. Don't worry. He's spiritual. So I'm going to show you what Paul taught ex-warlocks, ex-witches that were members of his congregation. The first thing he taught them was the difference between the divine supernatural and the demonic supernatural. And there were 2 basic differences. You are a victim. Please help me preach to your neighbor. You are a victim. If you have no knowledge of the spiritual. But when you are educating a former warlock that will stand on demons and disappear and appear on the bridge, you are not with me, you are not with me. Meanwhile, a good wizard doesn't sleep with his back. He sleeps sitting on a chair, and then he puts his 2 legs on a stool. He sleeps in L shape. Because if you invoke him into your crystal ball in that shape, he will not appear. Can you see how much sacrifice? Hey! Oh! So people that have experienced all those things and they give their lives to Christ, how will you teach them? If you were called to be their pastor, what will you tell them? Think about it. Most of you don't think about it. What will you tell a wizard that turns to the Lord? What will you tell him? When you tell him that Philip, under the influence of the Holy Spirit, was caught up and he disappeared from his current location and appeared in Azotus, he will say, oh. He will tell you, those are the trainings they give the early wizards, the ones that are in training. Are you there? Those wizards don't enter through a door facing the door. They'll enter facing the back. You know why? Because they transport. If you start entering the door through the front like this, those demons that transport people, they will not be able to recognize you. Concerning spiritual. A wizard comes into the market square in the village because it is believed that the footprint of every dweller of that village converges in the market square. So he goes there in the night when everybody has gone back. Then he looks for every point where there is a footprint on the sand. He will pick half of it. Pick half of it. He will do that for 2 hours. Put it in his bag. If you see him, you say he's mad. Don't worry. He's spiritual. You say he's mad, he's crazy. And he doesn't care what you think. When he finishes that, he will do some rituals, do some incantations, and then call some demons and throw the sand into the air. All those people that came to the market that day will be sick. Such sickness that Panadol cannot help. The people in the village will come to him for healing. So that's how they will come with goat and come with rice. His feeding for the whole month has been settled because he did that thing. Then he will begin to remove the spell. They will say he's a great man. That was what happened. Simon, he casted a spell over an entire city. From the guy that works in the post office to the guy that works in the hospital to the guy that sits on the floor of the Senate. They were all under his spell. And the spell was more potent if you did not know about spiritual. Are you still there? Yes, So what is a spiritual thing? A spiritual thing is a reality that is made manifest in the presence of a spirit being. Are you there? If that spirit being is not there, that reality will not be accessible. But the moment you introduce a spirit being, there are realities that are bound with the presence of a spirit being. And those realities are realities that you can master if that spirit being decides to teach you how to enter into the possibilities that the potential of his presence creates. So we cannot talk about spiritual things without talking about spirit beings. Is that clear? And it will interest you to know that the way you were created, you were created with the possibility of interacting with 3 different planes. Have you read the book of John chapter 4, where Jesus said that the hour has come and now is where the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth? Jesus was trying to let us understand that worship can only be achieved in spirit. Are you there? So when you oh my, your spirit man is calibrated to be able to interact with the realm of God. And so when the Holy Spirit comes upon your regeneration, you have been brought into a new context. The description of your context is defined by the abilities of the Holy Spirit that is brought upon your spirit man. Are you there? Your hope of being spiritual, your hope of functioning in the spiritual is based on the fact that a measure of the Spirit of God was allocated to you, not just to come upon you and perform an activity and go, but it resides inside of you, indicative of the fact that you have capabilities of the spiritual. Because I said that a spiritual thing is a reality that is available in the presence of what? Spirit.